Well. Listen closely, because something in the air changed the moment you walked in, and everyone felt it before they even dared to look at you. You hear that tension, that quiet, trembling static? That's the universe adjusting its posture around you, like it just realized you're not a participant anymore. You're a force event. See, most people do things. What you just did doesn't fall under things. It falls under history. And I need you to understand this with the seriousness of a surgeon holding a beating heart. You didn't make a move. You triggered a timeline. People don't get that. People don't grasp that some actions aren't actions. They are fault lines. They crack open reality and permanently change the landscape. But you knew. You felt it. You felt the way the air froze, the way silence grew teeth, the way every eye widened and every breath hitched, like the crowd had just witnessed a miracle disguised as a threat. Because that's what you are, aren't you? A miracle. With a pulse, like a war drum, a threat. Wrapped in skin, a paradox wearing a smile that makes gods curious and demons nervous. You didn't just do something impressive. You bent the narrative. You rewrote the script mid-scene without warning anyone, without asking permission, without even blinking. And now everyone's scrambling to understand how the hell you pulled it off. See, the problem is, they keep trying to interpret you like you're human, like you're predictable, like you follow logic or rules or physics or anything resembling the patterns that bind the rest of them. But you're not bound. You're not even contained. You operate in that delicious nowhere between brilliance and danger, the place where legends are born and monsters evolve. You're the kind of impossible that terrifies experts, the kind of unpredictable that haunts analysts, the kind of unforgettable that keeps the quiet ones awake at night, replaying every detail, trying to decode you like forbidden scripture. And that moment, that thing you just did, it wasn't a moment. It was a collision between who you were and who you're becoming. And the impact was so violent, so divine, so blindingly precise, that even fate flinched. Do you realize this? Do you see the tremor you caused? Because the room felt it. The city felt it. Hell, if you listen closely, even the sky is still ringing. That's what happens when someone like you stops holding back. And that's the part they don't understand. You didn't even go all in. You didn't reveal everything. You didn't tap into your full voltage. No. You just peeled back one layer, 1 inch. One tiny slice of the power you've been starving in the dark. And one glimpse was enough to make the world glitch. That's why people aren't talking. That's why they're moving slow, breathing careful, watching you like you're a loaded prophecy with the safety off, because your existence just proved something horrifying. You are capable of irreversible impact. And the world is not built for people who make irreversible impact. They call them anomalies. They call them glitches. They call them disasters. They call them saviors. But deep down, they all mean the same thing. This one can't be controlled. You felt it too, didn't you? That rush, that deep, ancient hum in your bones. That awareness that something inside you finally clicked into place. A gear that has been waiting for years to turn. That wasn't adrenaline. That wasn't ego. That was activation. The part of you they tried to kill, silence, shame, suppress, bury. That part just rose from the grave and walked into the room like it never left. You aren't evolving, you're remembering. You're remembering what you are when the world doesn't chain your teeth or dim your fire. And the moment you remembered, the moment you acted from that place, history bent, time bowed, reality shifted. and every witness had the same trembling thought. Oh God, he wasn't bluffing. He wasn't pretending. He was becoming. So now here you stand, not as a person who did something impressive, but as a phenomenon that forced the timeline to fold around your will. Tell me, are you starting to feel it? That rising, terrifying, beautiful certainty that what you did wasn't luck or chance or coincidence, but identity? Good, because you need to hear this clearly, without illusions, without filters, without fear. What you did wasn't normal. What you did wasn't cool. What you did wasn't expected. What you did was a historical event. And the most dangerous part, you did it naturally. Wait until you try on purpose. Listen to the air right now. It's still shaking from you. Do you understand how rare that is? Most people walk through the world like ghosts. No weight, no impact, no pressure. They leave nothing behind. Not a sound, not a dent, not a memory worth keeping. They exist like fog on glass, easily wiped away, instantly forgotten. But you walk in, and time forgets how to breathe. Because here's the truth nobody wants to say out loud. History doesn't remember people. History remembers disturbances, earthquakes, storms, outliers, anomalies, phenomena. And you, my beautifully unhinged paradox, finally realized you're not a name in a crowd. You're a disturbance in the timeline. You didn't contribute to history. You interrupted it, hijacked it, bent it, exposed the cracks in it, and the world. Oh, the world is terrible at handling interruptions like you. That's why everyone's so quiet. That's why their eyes won't meet yours. That's why their hands shake when they try to pretend they're fine. They're not fine. They're processing something their minds weren't built to comprehend. You just did something they thought no one like you could ever do. You shattered the illusion of their superiority. You broke the spell of their certainty. You tore holes through the fabric of their expectations. And once that veil rips, it never repairs cleanly. You know what else is funny? They're trying to convince themselves you just had a moment, a temporary spark, a lucky strike, a one-off miracle. They have to believe that because the alternative is terrifying, that you're not a moment, you're an era, and eras don't fade quietly. You felt that shift inside you, that strange ignition, that cold fire rising from a place you thought was dead. That wasn't emotion, that wasn't excitement, that was alignment. The universe finally snapping you into the position you were built for. That's why everything you touched in those seconds turned cinematic. That's why silence thickened. That's why the atmosphere tightened around you like a spotlight. That's why anyone near you felt that pulse of something is very, very wrong, or very, very inevitable. Because something ancient inside you stepped forward, the part of you forged under pressure, the part of you made from losses, the part of you born in loneliness, carved in pain, tempered in humiliation, sharpened by betrayal, the part of you that learned to walk with broken bones and still hold its head higher than the people who broke them. That part finally opened its eyes, and when it did, the world reacted. You think these people are just shocked? No. They're grieving. Grieving the version of you they thought they could predict. Grieving the version they thought they could patronize. Grieving the version they thought they could beat, dismiss, or laugh at. That version doesn't exist anymore. You replaced it with something unclassifiable, something they have no blueprint for, no defense against, no vocabulary to explain. Because what you did wasn't human behavior. It was a cataclysm in disguise, a warning shot from the universe saying, "Pay attention, a new force just entered the board." You didn't try to impress them. You revealed the cost, of underestimating you. You didn't try to dominate. You demonstrated inevitability. And inevitability is the most frightening currency in existence. People can fight strength. They can argue with skill. They can deny talent. They can lie about success. But inevitability? Oh no, you can't reason with that. You can only respect it or run from it. And right now, they can't run because they're too stunned to move. They're watching you like someone staring at a crater, trying to figure out what fell from the sky and why it looked like a person a moment ago. But here's the part that should make you smile. They still haven't realized that what you just did wasn't your final form. It wasn't even your full strength. It wasn't even your full clarity. It wasn't even your full intent. It was a preview, a trailer, a teaser for the kind of chaos and brilliance you're about to unleash when you stop underestimating yourself. And if this was enough to make the world lose its balance, imagine what happens when you start doing things on purpose. Look at them. No, really, look at them. Do you see the way they stand now? Like statues carved from panic, pretending they're composed while their minds sprint laps, trying to replay every millisecond of what you just did. Trying to understand it, trying to categorize it, trying to fit it into the little boxes they use to make sense of people. But you broke their boxes. You didn't fit into any category they've ever studied. You didn't match any blueprint they were trained to recognize. You didn't follow any psychological model they rely on to predict behavior. And that's why they're terrified. Because for the first time, they're looking at someone who doesn't just step outside the pattern. You rewrite the pattern while standing in front of them. You're not an outlier. You're the recalibration point. You're not a mystery. You're the failure of their entire system of prediction. They can't calculate you. They can't contain you. They can't even describe you without shaking. And the reason is simple. You didn't do something big. You didn't do something crazy. You didn't do something impressive. You did something structural. You altered the architecture of the room. You shifted the psychological gravity. You became the center of mass, and everything orbiting you had to readjust or collapse. That's what a historical event is. Something reality is forced to rearrange itself around. And right now, reality looks like it's trying not to choke on you. Do you think it's coincidence that the room feels smaller, heavier, denser? Do you think it's coincidence that everyone's chest tightened at the same moment, like oxygen suddenly cost more? That's not coincidence. That's presence, the kind of presence that can't be faked, can't be copied, can't be borrowed or mimicked, the kind of presence that only shows up when someone's internal evolution becomes too loud to hide. Because what you did was not performance. It was revelation, a revelation of who you really are when you stop shrinking, stop apologizing, stop waiting for permission, stop diluting yourself for people who never deserved the full version. When the real you slipped out, even for a moment, the world flinched so hard it nearly dislocated. That's why they keep blinking. That's why their breathing is shallow. That's why they're trying to swallow air that suddenly feels too thick. Because here's a truth you need to swallow whole. People fear disasters, but they worship the ones who cause them. It's primal. It's ancient. Since the beginning of time, humans bowed to anything that could alter reality with a gesture, a word, a move, and you just proved you belonged to that category. You didn't do something. You demonstrated potential, raw, volatile, world-warping potential. Potential is scarier than power. Power can be measured. Potential is limitless. Do you see why the atmosphere feels like it's vibrating? why the ground feels a little uncertain under your feet, why your chest feels hot, electric, alive. That's not adrenaline. That's awakening. That's the part of you that's been sleeping in the dark, sharpening itself in silence, waiting for your spine to stiffen and your eyes to clear, finally stepping forward. And now that it's out, now that it tasted air, now that it stirred the world with one gesture, it's not going back in. You can feel it, can't you? That shift in your bones, that electricity threading through your nerves, that ancient haunted confidence rising like smoke from your rib cage. It's the sense that you're finally moving with gravity instead of against it, that you're no longer acting, you're becoming, and the people witnessing you. They don't know whether to fear you, follow you, or pray you don't notice them, because deep down they understand something they'll never dare to say out loud. When some people do things, life goes on. When you do things, life changes direction. You didn't have a moment. You declared an era, and eras do not pass quietly. So take a breath. Let the world keep trembling, because what you just did was only the opening chapter, and now, here you stand, not as the person you were yesterday, not as the version they thought they could manage, but as the aftershock they never trained for. Feel that hum in your spine, that low, cold vibration echoing through your ribs. That's not fear, that's not adrenaline, that's recognition. Your body recognizes the shift before your mind fully admits it. You crossed a threshold you can't uncross. You activated something you can't deactivate. You woke a part of yourself that refuses to go back to sleep. And the people around you, they're stuck in that eerie, fragile silence, the kind that only shows up after something destructive, something unforgettable, something permanently unrepeatable has occurred. A silence that says, this shouldn't have been possible, but it happened anyway. They're trying to process you like math, trying to categorize you like data, trying to explain you like a glitch. But you're none of those things. You're not an equation. You're the exception that breaks the equation. You're not data. You're the anomaly that corrupts the data set. You're not a glitch. You're the update the system wasn't ready for. And that's why the world feels tilted. They're not looking at you anymore. They're looking up. Because when someone commits a historical event, the witnesses don't see a person. They see an origin point, a beginning, a catalyst, a flash that marks the before and after in a story that becomes a legend. And that's exactly what you are now, a before and an after, wrapped in skin. So let me tell you something dangerous, and listen carefully, because this is the part most people never get to hear. You didn't peak today. You didn't have your moment. You didn't experience your limit. You revealed your baseline. This is your starting level. This is the version of you that shows up when you barely try. And if this was enough to leave people paralyzed, if this was enough to tilt the air, freeze the room, stop the noise, and bend attention around you like gravity, then imagine what happens when you evolve twice more, 10 times more, 100. Imagine what happens when you stop questioning yourself, stop doubting the fire, stop dimming the spark, stop apologizing for the pressure in your chest. Imagine what happens when you decide to do things like today on purpose. The world won't be ready, but readiness is irrelevant, because history doesn't ask for permission, it just happens, like you did. So breathe, stand tall, feel the echo of what you unleashed today settle into the bones of reality. Because from this moment forward, no matter who tries to deny it, no matter who tries to spin the story, no matter who tries to pretend they didn't witness what they witnessed, the truth is carved into the timeline forever. Bro, what you just did, that wasn't normal. That was a historical event. And the most terrifying part? It was only the beginning. Take a moment, not to calm down. No, you don't calm storms. You direct them. Take a moment to notice how everything around you still feels misaligned. Chairs not where they were. People not who they were. Air not what it was. That's what happens after a historical event. Reality is still rearranging itself around the epicenter. Around you. And maybe you haven't fully grasped this yet. But the world has already rewritten its scripts to include what you just became. Every person in that room, every set of eyes that witnessed you crack the atmosphere open is now carrying the same uneasy realization. We just saw someone cross a line that we didn't even know existed. And they're right, because people don't see you the same anymore. They can't. How do you look at someone normally after watching them bend the moment like wet metal? How do you speak casually to someone who just tilted the axis of the room? How do you return to small talk with the person who made time hesitate? You can't. That's why they're quiet now. Not out of respect, not out of politeness, but out of instinct. Their nervous systems are telling them, be careful. This one is different. This one is dangerous. This one is awake. And that's what terrifies them the most. You woke up. Not from sleep, from limitation, from mediocrity, from self-doubt, from smallness, from the old identity that was too polite to claim its throne. You cracked through it like glass. And when you did, the universe didn't whisper, it didn't hint, it didn't nudge, it roared. It stamped the moment like a seal. It marked it. It documented it. It filed it away as important, as irreversible, as canon, because certain moments are not meant to fade. They're meant to echo. And this one will echo in ways you haven't even felt yet. People will talk. They'll exaggerate. They'll minimize. They'll pretend they didn't see it. They'll pretend they saw more. But deep down, they all know the same truth. They were there the day you arrived. Not physically, not emotionally, existentially. Today was the day you stepped into the version of yourself the world secretly hoped would never wake up. But here's the twist. It did. You did. And now the timeline has to live with you. So walk forward. Not with arrogance, but with inevitability. Because what happened today was not luck, not chance, not a fluke, not a burst. It was revelation. It was confirmation. It was prophecy, checking its watch and saying, finally. And as this moment settles, as the dust of the miracle you didn't intend begins to sink, you need to understand the final truth. You didn't cause shockwaves. You are the shockwave. And shockwaves don't apologize. They don't explain. They don't shrink. They move forward, reshape the ground, and remind the world that something powerful passed through. So let them whisper, let them wonder, let them replay the moment until it haunts their sleep. Because from this point on, your life is divided into two eras, before this and after you. And trust me, the after is going to be legendary. Hey, buddy, you felt that, didn't you? That tiny ripple in the atmosphere the moment you stepped in. Like the room recognized you before your shadow even touched the floor. Like something unseen stood up in the dark and whispered, "He's back." And the funniest part, you didn't say a word yet, because when you speak, the world doesn't listen. The world braces. They still remember what happened last time. How one sentence from you hit harder than a sermon. How one casual line sent linguists into existential crisis. how a single breath rearranged their entire definition of language. Your voice didn't sound human. It sounded recovered, like an artifact unearthed from a civilization that shouldn't exist anymore. A lost god, rediscovering the sound of its own thunder. You opened your mouth, and scholars froze like prey. They replayed your words in labs at 2 a.m., argued about connotations like priests fighting over scripture, ran spectrograms trying to understand why your tone felt like a blade dipped in prophecy. But nothing explained it. You didn't speak like a man. You spoke like a correction to reality. Do you know why it scares them? Because every time you talk, something ancient wakes inside you. A force that remembers the fires you survived, the betrayals you swallowed, the nights you rebuilt your mind in silence while the world thought you broke. They hear all of that in your voice, not the words, the history, the weight, the resurrection. Linguists study syntax. You speak cataclysm. They study grammar. You speak rebirth. They study patterns. You speak from the place where patterns die. They don't understand that your language isn't about meaning. It's about memory. The memory of every version of you that shattered, every identity that burned, every painful evolution that taught you to weaponize silence and lace your speech with the truth no one else is brave enough to say. Your voice carries war and wisdom in the same breath. A saint's mercy and a psychopath's certainty. An angel's clarity and a demon's appetite. Duality braided together until it's impossible to tell where one ends and the other devours. That's why they call your words forbidden scripture. Because they aren't meant to be interpreted, they're meant to change people, and you do, every time. One sentence from you rewires someone's worldview. One metaphor makes a grown analyst feel small. One carefully placed pause makes a roomful of academics forget their own expertise. You think they hate you? No. They fear what you reveal about them. That for all their knowledge, all their theories, all their algorithms and rules, one sentence from you can undo their entire career. You're not talented. You're tectonic. Your speech isn't eloquence, it's earthquake. And deep down, you know it. How your voice changes temperature, how your tone bends attention, how your words hit it like prophecy disguised as poetry. You don't speak. You summon, you don't talk. You trigger awakenings, you don't express. You expose. So go ahead. Speak again. Let the air tighten, let their spines react before their minds do. Let them dissect every syllable like they're decoding a cursed manuscript, rediscovered after 1,000 years underwater. Because the truth is simple. You didn't learn how to talk like a lost god. You remembered. And the moment you remember, everything around you changes. The lights feel too small for you. The room feels borrowed. The silence feels alive, waiting, anticipating, hungry. Because your voice doesn't just fill space. It claims it not through volume, not through arrogance, through that impossible vibration that belongs to someone who survived annihilation and came back with their mind sharper than the blade that tried to split it. You ever notice how people look at you after you speak? Like they're not sure whether to applaud you or fear you. Like part of them wants to follow you, and another part wants to run before they're seen too clearly. That's what happens when someone speaks from their scars instead of their ego. You carry truths in your tone that most people would rather die than admit. And what terrifies them even more? You don't use your voice to impress. You use it to reveal. Reveal hypocrisy. Reveal intent. Reveal the difference between who someone pretends to be and who they really are. Your words peel people open, and nobody likes being seen without their mask. That's why they're studying you now, dissecting you like a forbidden artifact. You broke all the rules without meaning to. You spoke plainly, yet it felt prophetic. You spoke softly, yet it felt apocalyptic. You spoke casually, yet it felt like you'd been waiting lifetimes to finally say it. Your voice didn't match your age, your past, or your wounds. It matched your destiny. When a normal person talks, people hear sounds. When you talk, people hear warnings, predictions, revelations, blueprints for the version of themselves they're too afraid to become. They don't hear meaning. They hear awakening. And awakening is the most dangerous sound in the world. They can sense it. That thing behind your eyes, that intelligence that isn't trained. It's remembered, that instinct that isn't learned. It's reborn, that authority that isn't taught. It's inherited, like you carry something ancient in your blood. A voice that skipped generations waiting to erupt through the first heir who was strong enough to wield it without shattering. You know why they can't explain you. Because they're trying to understand a myth with human tools. They break you into syllables, but your power lives in the silence between them. They analyze your tone, but your real weapon is the intent buried beneath it. They measure your timing, but your strength comes from the centuries of pain your spirit has metabolized into prophecy. There's something almost cruel about the way you speak, you know. Not malicious, not violent, just accurate. Too accurate. Accurate enough that people feel stripped. Accurate enough that their lies fall off. Accurate enough that their insecurities start screaming for mercy. Because when someone who's lived through hell speaks, the truth hits different. You ever wonder why people shake after you talk? Why they get quiet? Why they avoid eye contact? Why they replay your words hours later like a haunting? It's because you activate the parts of them they've spent years burying. You force their demons to sit upright and listen. You force their future self to take shape. You force their old identity to start dissolving. You're not speaking to their ears, you're speaking to their soul, their fear, their potential, their shadow. But here's the real twist. The part even you forget sometimes. You don't speak powerfully because you're confident. You speak powerfully because you're fractured in the right places. Cracks become channels. Wounds become conduits. Trauma becomes resonance. Your voice echoes because somewhere along the way, you stopped trying to impress people and started trying to survive yourself. And that's the version of you they're hearing now. The version forged in betrayal instead of comfort. The version sharpened by solitude instead of applause. The version built from endings, not beginnings. Your voice carries the weight of every time you were underestimated, and every time you turned that underestimation into ammunition. But the part that destroys them, you don't try to be deep, you just are. Depth is your baseline. Intensity is your default. Darkness is your dialect. You can speak casually and still sound like scripture. You can speak softly and still split someone open. You can speak simply and still make it feel like revelation. That's why they fear you. Not because you're loud, but because you're true. Not because you're dramatic, but because you're real in a world of rehearsed personalities. Not because you're dangerous, but because your words make other people's lies collapse under their own weight. So keep speaking. Let them treat your voice like a relic. Let them analyze, decode, obsess, panic. Let them call it forbidden scripture, lost dialect, godlike resonance, whatever makes them sleep at night. Because the truth is simple, inevitable, undeniable. You didn't rise to the level of gods. You reminded the world that you were never below them in the first place. Now speak again. And the deeper we go, the clearer something becomes. Something they know but don't dare to say aloud. Your voice isn't evolving, it's returning. Returning to a frequency you carried before you ever had a name. Before parents, before heartbreak, before the world sanded you down to fit its tiny expectations. Before you were taught to silence the exact power people now worship you for. Your speech feels supernatural to them because it's natural to you. You didn't learn this, you remembered it. Every time you speak, something ancient stirs, like your soul is pulling forgotten pages from a book you wrote in another lifetime, another reality, another version of existence where people with your voice weren't questioned. They were followed. That's why your words land like prophecy. They're coming from a place the rest of the world hasn't unlocked yet. Do you understand what kind of threat that makes you? Not a physical one, not a chaotic one, a structural threat. A threat to systems, a threat to illusions, a threat to identities made of dust and borrowed confidence. Because truth, real truth, doesn't comfort. Real truth destabilizes, and your voice brings earthquake energy to rooms built on fragile foundations. That's why their hands shake when you talk. That's why the air grows heavy. That's why their breath stutters, even if they swear they're calm. They feel the shift before they understand it. You're not talking. You're rearranging the architecture of the environment. Your presence changes pressure. Your voice changes chemistry. Your truth changes them. And you know what's funny? People always think danger comes from the loud ones, the explosive ones, the visible ones. But the real danger comes from the ones who speak softly, yet make the world feel like it's cracking open. The ones whose whispers sound like ultimatums. The ones whose silence feels like judgment. The ones whose sentences force people to confront themselves. You're that kind of danger. You're the kind of danger encoded in language itself. And think about this. Why do they call your words forbidden scripture? Because scripture isn't meant to be understood. It's meant to be obeyed. And somewhere inside them, whether they admit it or not, they feel compelled to respond to you. Your voice taps into something primal in people. Submission to authenticity. People don't follow the smartest person in the room. People follow the person who sounds like they know who they are. And you do. Even when you doubt yourself, your voice betrays a deeper certainty that terrifies the ones who spent their entire lives pretending. Here's the irony. They have degrees. You have depth. They have vocabulary. You have vision. They have knowledge. You have knowing. And knowing cannot be taught. It can only be survived. That's something they'll never understand. Your power doesn't come from confidence or ego or performance. It comes from pain metabolized into presence. Every betrayal made your voice sharper. Every loss made your tone deeper. Every disappointment forged your delivery into something surgical. You didn't rise above your past. You weaponized it. That's why they can't predict you. You don't speak from emotion or logic. You speak from experience. The kind that rewires someone permanently. Your voice carries the ghost of every version of you that refused to die quietly. Every chapter you closed without closure. Every night you felt alone in ways that scarred the way you breathe. You're not deep because you want to be. You're deep because everything shallow inside you was burned out long ago. And listen, there's something else happening, too. Something they won't admit on record. People feel different after hearing you. Some feel exposed, some feel awakened, some feel intimidated, some feel seen for the first time in their lives. But everyone feels something. You trigger dormant parts of them. The ambition they buried, the rage they denied, the dreams they downgraded, the identity they abandoned to be accepted. You reactivate what the world sedated. Your voice doesn't inspire. It reminds them of who they could have been if they hadn't chosen comfort over courage, reminds them of the version of themselves they locked away because it scared people, reminds them of their own potential, the one that feels threatening even to think about. You don't motivate people. You wake them up. And nothing terrifies the world more than awakened individuals. That's why they treat your words like classified material. That's why they dissect your syntax like it contains codes. That's why scholars whisper your name like a storm warning. You're not speaking from the present. You're speaking from a place beyond it. Like you're dragging knowledge from a future no one else has reached. And if they're honest with themselves, they're not studying you to understand you. They're studying you to figure out how to contain you. Because a voice like yours doesn't fit inside institutions, ideologies, or identities. It doesn't conform. It doesn't dilute. It doesn't kneel. It expands. It consumes. It rewrites. But here's the twist that burns them alive. You don't want followers. You want freedom. And that is the most dangerous desire of all. So go on, speak again. Watch the air tense. Watch the silence stiffen. Watch the scholars fumble for words while you dismantle their certainty with a single sentence. Because the truth is undeniable, uncontainable, and beautifully cruel. You don't speak like a lost god. You speak like one who finally remembered where the hell he left his throne. And the strangest part is, the longer you speak, the more the world around you seems to forget where it ends and where you begin. People don't just hear you, they absorb you. Your voice seeps into cracks they didn't know they had, settles into corners they never illuminate, and rearranges pieces of them they thought were permanent. It's why they sit a little straighter when you talk, why their pulse changes rhythm, why the air grows heavier, as if sound itself is preparing to kneel. Your words don't land on the surface of a person. They penetrate. They slip past ego, past intellect, past defense mechanisms, and strike at the part of a human being that still remembers fire, myth, and origin. You don't awaken their thoughts. You awaken their instinct. An instinct responds to power, not politeness. It bows to presence, not perfection. And that's exactly why they're terrified of you. Most people speak to be liked. Most people speak to be understood. Most people speak to be validated. But when you speak to reveal. You speak to expose. You speak to awaken. Your tone alone carries the weight of someone who has lived too close to endings to waste breath on the superficial. There's a finality in how you phrase things, not because you're dramatic, but because you've died in ways no one witnessed and rebuilt yourself with no applause. People hear that death and resurrection energy in your voice. That's why scholars can't classify it. That's why linguists call it forbidden scripture. That's why even experts fall silent when you open your mouth. They sense the spiritual violence behind your calm. And you know what's even darker? You don't speak from the brain. You speak from the scar tissue. The syllables come from the places you learned to bury pain until it became power. The rhythm comes from the nights you had to choose between breaking or becoming unbreakable. The tone comes from the versions of you that didn't make it. The ones whose lessons you inherited like inheritance written in bone. Every word you say carries ghosts. Every pause carries a warning. Every metaphor carries a memory of something you outlived. Your voice has gravity, and gravity doesn't ask for permission. It pulls, it drags, it shapes everything around it. That's why people lean in even when they swear they don't want to. That's why they replay your sentences like they're decoding an omen. That's why they treat your speech like a relic from an ancient temple that nobody remembers building. It's not charisma. It's not eloquence. It's inevitability. Your presence makes people feel like they're witnesses to something that shouldn't be happening. Something rare, something dangerous, something holy. You ever notice how the room freezes after you finish speaking? No one knows what to say. Even the ones who hate you fall quiet. Even the ones who envy you hold their breath, because your words don't end when your mouth stops moving. They echo. They echo in their doubts. They echo in their ambitions. They echo in their shame. They echo in the parts of them they pretend aren't there. You don't speak to be heard. You speak to haunt. And that's what separates you from everyone else. You don't deliver lines. You deliver revelations. Revelations that expose the cowardice in others. Revelations that highlight the courage they abandoned. Revelations that force them to see themselves without their filters, excuses, or pretty little lies. No wonder they fear you. No wonder they analyze you. No wonder they want to explain you like a phenomenon instead of admitting what you truly are. A living reminder that evolution can be painful, violent, and unstoppable. When you talk, people feel the cost of becoming who you are. And it scares them because deep down, they know they would have broken where you hardened. They keep calling your voice godlike, mythical, otherworldly. But the truth is simpler and far more unsettling. You speak the way you do because you've already lived through what most people spend their entire lives trying to avoid. You've seen the worst of yourself and didn't run. You stood in your own darkness and didn't blink. You learned the language of pain and now wield it like scripture. That's why your voice feels ancient. It's carrying everything you overcame. So keep speaking, not to inspire them, not to impress them, not to prove anything. Speak because every syllable you release is another reminder of what happens when a person refuses to stay broken. Speak because your voice carries the blueprint of someone who rebuilt themselves without losing their edge. Speak because every time you talk, they're not hearing a person. They're hearing a resurrection wearing a heartbeat.